What's going on, everybody? I'm Shane from Heads and Tails. Today we have Wheezy with us, and we're going to be talking about breeding. When to pair, what you do after pairing, all that good stuff. Let's get straight into it. So I like to breed for about a week and then separate them for about a month or so if I can confirm a lock. Now, there's a lot of people that maybe breeding every 2 weeks, set them in there for 2 or 3 days, pull them back out. There's a lot of different setups there. Personally, I like to do the one where it's once a month. I do make sure I see a lock, though. If I don't see a lock, I put them back in about a week later or 2 weeks later. I usually shorten it up a little bit. Once you do start seeing locks, you know, okay, cool, I got them breeding. What's our next step? Well, next step is going to be basically trying to keep up with the female's appetite, because quite often once you start breeding a female, very shortly after they start eating like crazy. So now you're trying to keep up with her appetite and trying to feed as much as possible to get her as much size as she can get so she can go ahead and breed. This is obviously a smaller male. This is not a breeding female. This one, Wheezy, he's a fire clown, but he's also got something else in him. He's got some pretty cool coloration going on. He is actually going to... Who did I put him to? Oh, Roxanne. So we're going to make some double hets. We think that Roxanne is probably a fire pied, so we're going to go ahead and put him to her. If we make some super fire double hets, that'll be cool. Like I had said in a previous video, white snake sells, so that's always a good thing. And it's... anytime you get a super in your collection, it's really good for breeding because it's powerful. You know that no matter what it breeds to, it's definitely coming out with fire. So that's always something to think about. But as far as breeding goes, I check the females every day. I go in, I see how they're looking. If they're looking hungry, I'm going to try to offer them. If they ate yesterday 2 meals and I see they're hungry again, I'm not going to offer them the second day. Usually I'll wait a couple days before I offer another bit of food. But for the most part, I'm checking the tubs every day, looking for eggs, looking for them to start to lay on their side and, you know, show their belly and stuff like that. And then the notorious tail suck, once you get further into the breeding project, when you're thinking that she's going to be laying soon, that's whenever the tail suck starts to happen. After a couple of months, it seems to me that they usually end up going off of food for a while. So towards the end of their pregnancy, they're not going to want any food. That's why it's super important. Oh, he's trying to get into the rack. Get out of there, buddy. It's super important to try to feed them as much as possible in the beginning of the pregnancy so that towards the end of the pregnancy, they end up having enough food supply to keep them sustained throughout the rest of the pregnancy. Hopefully, everything works out well to where after she lays the eggs, she's still in decent body condition, so it doesn't take long for her to get back up to size again. Even though it didn't take long for my females to get back up to size, I kind of waited this year. I wanted them to get a little bigger than they were last year before I start breeding them, so I waited a little bit extra. It's okay to do that. The only thing is, don't wait too long, because once you start breeding them, they can end up just producing slugs. Say you bred them last year and you didn't breed them at all this year, they could just produce straight up slugs. So you do want to make sure you time it well. A lot of people have what's that thing? The thing for babies. Gosh darn it. Drawing a blank. Ultrasound. Dang, I can't believe I can't think of that. That is a basic one. So a lot of people have ultrasound machines, and they end up checking for, see the size of the follicles and all that stuff, looking for ovulation and this and that. If you don't have that, you kind of just got to wing it. And it's basically a body condition thing. People say, oh, look for ovulation, this and that. But in all honesty, I feel like if your snake's not pregnant by the time she's ovulating, I don't know, man, you might have bigger problems than that. I feel like a lot of the time when my snakes started to ovulate, they were already, had plenty in them to make babies. So as far as feeding goes, in the beginning of the pregnancy, you're going to be feeding the females an awful lot. The males, on the other hand, might go off of food. I personally haven't really had this problem too much. Caesar went off food for about a month or so last year, but then got back on it and was good and hungry. I would say the females towards the end of the pregnancy actually go off food for a longer amount of time than most of my males. They do say that if your males are going off of food, you might want to cool the temperatures down a little bit. Kind of like wearing tidy whities all day, just scrunching your stuff up, getting hot and sweaty, not good. Might want to cool them down a little bit, let them produce better sperm. So that's a route I've heard many people go. I didn't necessarily need to do anything. He just went off for a month and then went right back on. I didn't change anything. Fine. All the other guys have been fine. Sometimes Wheezy don't want to eat, but that's not necessarily because of breeding. He's just a picky guy. Doesn't always want food. So, like, for example, Wheezy, on average, when I feed every week, Wheezy will go every 2 weeks. Like, he'll just deny the food once, the opposite week. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what we do over here as far as breeding and feeding and all that good stuff. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks for watching. See you later.